Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And today we're diving deep into the power of storytelling, how the narratives we tell ourselves shapes our lives, and more importantly, how we can rewrite them to create a better future. My guest is someone who knows this process inside out. Carrie Casey West. She's an author, speaker, and life story coach who has dedicated her career to helping people transform their personal and professional narratives. With an MFA in filmmaking from the American Film Institute and a degree in counseling psychology, she brings a unique blend of storytelling expertise and psychological insight to the table. Carrie, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
It is a pleasure to be here, Dave. I've been looking forward to meeting you.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that as well, and it's a pleasure meeting you too. So, Carrie, your journey has been shaped by both personal resilience and a deep understanding of storytelling. So, can you share a bit about your own story and what first made you realize the power of rewriting your own personal narratives, I should say?
Sure. When I had a pretty rough start to life,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
one of the ways.
we like to hear about the humble beginnings, and even if it's a rough start to life. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say mine was great, but we're here now. You know.
Somehow we made it, huh? How'd that happen?
Yeah. So tell us about your humble beginnings and the start.
Sure. Well, my mom had mental health issues that we didn't uncover till I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So when I was born, she rejected me immediately. And she didn't feed me. She would barely change my diapers. And, it was bad. I was ignored most of the time.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways I did self-comfort is I would tell myself stories. I would tell myself the story of my real parents that are looking for me, and they're going to rescue me, and they're great, and they're going to take me to ice cream stores and get me pretty clothes. And that was how I comforted myself. And, every night I had a new chapter, new adventure we'd go on together. And so I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that's what you did. I thought this was what life was about. As I grew older, and after a couple of particularly bad run-ins with my mom, I realized that I was not in a good situation. And what I needed to do was survive. And so when I was old enough, I started looking at who I was. I did the whole therapy run. I wanted to understand how I came together.
Yeah.
But I kept.
How old was you by then, that time? How old was you?
Well, probably around 13, 14. I started
that's quite
talking.
That's quite a young age to do that.
No,
to do that by yourself. To do that by yourself, it's not someone else doing that for you, is it?
No, I didn't have a childhood. I had to grow up really fast. If I was to make it in the world. And it's amazing to me what we're capable of, what human beings are capable of. When I look back at that time and I think of myself as a 13-year-old, I was a little kid. And the things I was doing at 13 to survive, it's like, are you kidding me? Nobody should have to do that. So it all came together. But in the meantime, I was still keeping journals. I would write all the time in my journals. And it didn't come together to me until I went to grad school. Even I took psychology classes. This was all to try to make sense of why I was a miserable git. It was, I wasn't happy. I didn't have boyfriends. I didn't have friends. What could I do? And it wasn't until I went to film school and we were talking about story elements, because I always love stories. As you can tell, I'm telling one now.
A real true story, though.
Yeah, a true story.
Yeah.
I realized my characters of my story, the antagonists, the villains, the mentors, how all the characters were. The theme of my story was life sucks and then you die.
Yeah.
And you had these themes and you had plots that were repetitious.
Right.
You kept going into the same situations. So I was in a film class and we talked about rewriting a script, how you get into a pitch meeting and it's not working and you rewrite it. And I thought, well, crap, maybe I can rewrite my script.
Mm.
I had no notion of narrative therapy at that point, or there is a psychological study of narrative therapy and narrative
Oh, right.
understanding.
Okay.
And at that point, I had no idea about that. I just started working on my personal story. And I decided I could, I write in my journal, why can't I write in my life book?
Yeah.
So it clicked for me. It made sense to me. So I
Mm.
started working with other people and I started noticing how even in friends, they'd call, as I started to develop friends and friend circles. Did you ever notice how Jody has that same story all the time about her boyfriend? She won't break up with the guy, but she keeps repeating this story. Holy moly, we are all living these massive stories.
Mm.
We have characters that oftentimes repeat themselves. And they don't have the same faces. When you think about in a movie, when they replace a character, think of James Bond. James Bond has been around for 100 years, but it's been
100 years. That long? Oh.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
You
must
keep
be.
getting it. You keep getting a new character.
All right. I thought it only started in the 60s. But that's the movies. That's not the book, is it? The
The
book actually
book.
started. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The book
yeah.
started
So
before that, didn't it? So
well, to me, Sean Connery was always James Bond, but I think there
yeah, I
were
know, yeah.
I think there were Bonds before him, if I'm not mistaken. I think
Yeah, there was a Bond before him, and I can't remember who that was, but yeah,
yeah,
it was. But
yeah.
yeah,
So made sense to me that even after my parents died, I kept bringing in the mom character into
oh,
my
it's
life, the
interesting.
dad character into
Yeah,
my
yeah,
life.
yeah,
And they repeated. So I started working with people to help them break the pattern like I did, to
yeah,
rewrite it, to
yeah,
to
yeah.
come up with a different ending. So
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
yeah,
Because there is obviously there's life coach, and I suppose you are a form of a life coach, but doing it through stories, aren't you? Really, because
yep,
you're kind of coaching them, but also almost like a therapy story, narrative therapy, storytelling thing as well,
yeah.
isn't it?
And
Yeah.
you know what? It's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
If
Yes.
you Nobody likes to think that, personal growth. Ugh, I've got to look at myself. Ugh. And you go to a therapist, and I love therapy, don't get me wrong, I do.
Mm.
It has helped me a lot. But you go to a therapist and they'll say, how did that make you? Oh, I did this and that happened. Well, how did that make you feel? Well, it pissed me off, actually. It didn't make me
Yeah.
feel good at all. But what do you
Yeah.
do about it? How do you help people break their patterns?
Yeah.
How can you help them see life in a new way?
Yeah. Um, I mean that's something that therapists and therapy don't do because they're always looking back in the past all the time. They don't actually take action for the future and now, the here and now, really. They just and
Yeah.
it's no, you don't really want to I mean, it's all right to keep going back to look forward, I suppose, but not to sort of go back and then say, how did you feel about that? And go back again, to bad
Well,
feelings.
right. So how can you resolve them? How can you
Yeah.
make sense of them? And for me, I had to understand that when my mom treated me the way she did, I thought there was something inherently terribly flawed with me. I thought I was some ugly, disgusting, terrible being that didn't deserve the love of her mother.
Mm.
And it's just that my mom wasn't capable of it. She was damaged. She had
Right.
her story from her parents.
Ah,
And
okay, yeah.
the whole notion of generational stories, and societal stories, the gender
Mm,
stories. Men are told they have to be strong and be brave, and
mm.
girls are taught you have to be quiet and behave like a good young lady.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know? So how I want to help change that because I think
yeah,
they're wrong. I think these stories are wrong.
yeah. Everybody's humans and humans bleed, and humans have feelings, and emotions. So
Yeah.
it's not just that. But yeah, that's really powerful. So I mean, you work with both individuals and businesses to help them reframe their limiting beliefs. So what are
Yeah.
some of the most common self-defeating stories you've come across, and how do you guide people in shifting those narratives?
Well, there's a famous one for women about the imposter syndrome that a lot of
Oh
women in
yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, imposter
yes,
syndrome. Yeah.
a lot of women in business, yeah, it's common, well, it's somewhat knowledge that people, if you say to a guy, I need you to get this report done and I need it to be written on 10 pages and I need this and I need that, and the guy will say, okay, I'll get it done. And a woman will say, oh, gee, I don't know if I can do that because
Yeah.
they are afraid to say they can do something if they're not absolutely 100% sure they can.
Right.
And
Yeah.
for the most part, we aren't taught to be confident about our skills.
Yeah.
Women aren't taught to be confident about our skills. We're taught to be nurturing and support the men in our lives. And
Mm,
that's a little bit black and white. I mean, it's really a gray area. That's not the entire message, but
mm,
I'm saying this to prove a point. So when you're taught that you have to support other people, it's almost you're uncomfortable stepping up and saying, gee, I can do that. I can do that.
mm.
If you walk into a room in a team meeting, I went to a team meeting one time, I was observing it, and the boss came in and said, I need a volunteer to do blah, blah, blah. And the men all raised their hand. I can do that. I can do that, Joe. I can do that, Joe. And then we're kind of like, they thought, well, okay, they have their volunteers. I can do it.
Mm.
And it's a part of the competitive world we live in business. And I will be honest, I've not worked with any businesses in the UK, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
I know in the US there's a competitiveness that tends to attract more of the men in business than the women. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because there's a lot of good ideas and good things that come out of the women leaders in the corporate world.
Yeah. I mean, there are some women, female entrepreneurs, but it just seems to be the same way as in the US. Most of the big leaders, business leaders, you hear are male ones, but that's from an older generation. So I don't know what's going to happen with the 20, 30, 40, or the Gen Zs that they call it, and whatever,
Yeah,
you know. But I mean, in US, you've got Facebook and all the other techie people that they're mostly, which is the main area now, but it's mostly male, isn't it? Which is it's
yeah,
unfortunate, really, isn't it? It's got to be a way around. It used to be that way with medical professions, say, but now it's not. That's kind of a level playing field now. Where there was a gender
yeah.
kind of
You see
dominance.
shifts. You do. You see shifts. And I was leading a group, and after I did it, a woman came up to me and said, thank you. I've never had a role model like you. I've never
Mm,
seen a woman step up on stage like you.
mm,
And I said, really? And she just said, yeah, in my family, the women never worked, and I'm one of the first people to work in my family. And this is
yeah,
a woman who was 28 at the time.
yeah,
So it was surprising to me, but I think this is why we all need to get out there and tell our stories so
yeah.
that people have an example to get through.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, I've got my own book, Firefighting from Within. I used to be a firefighter, but I actually tell my story from when I was younger, age like
Yeah.
yourself. It doesn't go too deep into, my actual story, but just to kind of it's more of a handbook, so it's like 100 pages, 96 pages, and it's just little bullet points of tips and just giving analogies from firefighting and the build up to it from my school days. But there's still a storytelling type thing, and the idea was to just do motivational speaking with it, and then that's where I'd elaborate and maybe give some workshops, for resilience building and things like that, and life
But
stories. life coaching and things like that, So
But that's the power of your story. And that's when I read your website and heard your story, I thought this guy has something fascinating going on.
all
Because
right, okay.
you took these experiences and shared them with people in a way that
Yeah,
resonated with them.
yeah. I mean,
You connected.
it's probably given a taster, but hopefully it will say, yeah, we need to get this guy on board in our whatever, in our company, or I need to get him to see if we can get him to coach us or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the idea. But I suppose the work you do is to go more deeper into the story with the individuals, isn't it? Really, I suppose.
I always start with understanding the first story we were given, and that's with our family.
Yeah, yeah.
We
So
all go ahead.
no, I mean, I need to maybe go more into that because I left my family out of the book really because I was told not to do that really, I suppose. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and you don't have to necessarily tell that story, but know it for
yeah,
your standpoint.
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I
That's true.
worked with I worked with someone who wanted to get tenure. It's at the university and was trying for 20 years and just couldn't get tenure.
Yeah,
And the first thing I talked to him about was his family dynamic.
you do need
And
to know that. Yeah, that's for
yeah,
definite.
and
Yeah,
how he related with his family, and then
yeah.
how parents related with
Because
their
it's how you shape. It's how it shaped you, as
yeah,
an individual, and
yeah. And he had 2 or 3 aha moments, and then after 5 sessions, he called me. He said, "I got tenure."
well, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
He had those moments where he even forgave his mom and got to spend some quality time with her before she passed.
Oh,
So
okay, that's good.
he
Yeah.
he really made peace with,
I mean,
you
it's
know,
not good that she passed, but I mean, it's good that
no,
you
no,
managed to
no,
actually get together because that
exactly,
is
exactly.
life's. We're all here for one life only, and well,
Yeah,
apparently so. I mean, I
maybe
suppose
not.
I believe in karma a little bit, so maybe I'll come back as a little tortoise or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'll come back. I just made
Hey,
that
I'm gonna
up.
come.
I made that
I want to come back as a dog that I am. I have
Yeah,
my dog is spoiled rotten, a little guy, but
man's best friend. Why not?
exactly,
No,
exactly.
but you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah. So the fact is, he got with his mother, and made good time, quality time. And you could use that theory with everyone and say, look, try and get back with them, and blah, blah, blah. I've done some personal development work like that, where you just kind of, you're only just hurting yourself otherwise, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you,
But
you you're carrying that burden on in yourself, and then that will reflect on other areas in your life. That's
absolutely.
so
See, that's the story. Because then if
yeah,
you start to believe that about, I had so much trouble having female friends because I couldn't trust them because my mom and I didn't have a connection.
yeah, and that's what getting in the way. That's what's
Yes,
getting in the way with everything else you do in life and other
exactly.
relationships. Yeah, so
Exactly. So when I saw that, and
yeah,
when you start to realize that your parents are human beings, they were
yes, yes,
human beings way before you came into the world, and
that's absolutely yeah,
they had their own stories, they had their own issues that they had to
mm,
do.
absolutely,
Unfortunately, you became a casualty in one of their wars, but when you can see that, and instead of blaming them and holding on tight to that blame that they owed you or something,
yeah.
you got to forgive them. You got to
Yeah,
forgive them
forgiveness.
for,
Yeah, that's what you
yeah,
need. Because blame and fault don't get you anywhere either, and it's just continues a vicious cycle of something that's going to get in a way for you what you want to do in life because it's in there in you as well, and it's not. You're going to carry on a bad feeling all the time.
yes,
Forgiveness does the opposite. It helps you let go, and then you feel free and want to do can do whatever you. But anyway, I'm giving some coaching here for my audience as well as you. We're both doing it together for everyone. That's pretty good,
okay.
isn't
Well,
it?
someone just said to me the other day, I don't know if you've ever heard this, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, but let me try it. Someone said to me, blaming somebody is like drinking poison and hoping they're going to suffer for it. And when you
Yeah,
have,
that's interesting. That's a good
yeah, I
theory.
don't
Yeah.
think I'm saying it totally correct the way she said it to
No, but
me.
it sounds interesting. Yeah, because basically you drank the poison. You're thinking, well, no, you're the one that's got to die. I drank the poison, but you got that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And it's like huh? No, that don't make sense. You're poisoning
Yeah,
yourself with all that stuff.
exactly,
In a
exactly,
analogy, it's an analogy, so it's
exactly, exactly,
psychological poison, which is
exactly. So
yeah.
forgiveness helps you put that cup of poison down.
Exactly, yeah. Well, on a personal level, is there a story in your own life that you had to rewrite well, I think you already covered that anyway, didn't you, really, to step in your full potential? Um,
Well, the
how
biggest
did that
thing,
transformation impact the way you approach your work today?
yes, good question. That's a
Yeah.
good question. It helps me to stop and think when I hit that wall, when you hit that challenge. You have to think about the hero's journey. Whenever you go to a movie theater, the hero doesn't just walk down the path and everything turns out hunky-dory. They have challenges every
Yeah.
step of the way. That's how they grow.
Yeah.
So when I hit a challenge, instead of going, oh, crap, I go, okay, what is this showing me? This is the hero's journey. What is this showing me?
Mm.
And then I resolve it. It's so showing me that I'm trying too hard, or I think I have to work hard because that brings up my survival. As a kid, I had to become an adult very quickly. So am I trying to be that adult all over again because I'm a scared little girl who thinks if I don't push through this, I won't survive? And that's usually my trigger. The result of my upbringing was I was very traumatized, so I suffered with PTSD. So
Mm.
when I hit that wall, it's usually that I'm triggered into this feeling of fear, and I need to remember that that is the past and it's over, and I'm here now. And I keep reminding myself of this amazing life I've built. I live in Santa Barbara, California, with a relationship I never dated. And then all of a sudden, I'm in this relationship. We've been together 13 years now. And that was so amazing to me that here I am living in this beautiful home in Santa Barbara, California, after almost dying a few times as a baby. So you can
Is that
do it.
literally? Is that literally? You almost died.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a miracle that a doctor came by and found
Mm.
me in such bad shape and started feeding me when,
Mm.
and then understanding that my mom, it wasn't that I was flawed. It was that my mom had her problems. And that's a big one, because
Mm.
I think a lot of us feel that we're broken in some way and we need to be fixed. We're
Yeah.
not. We're not broken. We're not flawed. We are human beings. Yes, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we do crazy things that we need to forgive ourselves for, but
Yeah.
we're not flawed beings. I think at
No.
the heart of it all, we are pure love, and we deserve to be happy and have a good life. I
Yeah.
believe that for everybody.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, it's been such an insightful conversation, Kerry. So, the idea that we're not stuck with the stories we've inherited or created, that we have the power to rewrite them, is an incredibly inspiring. So, for those who want to dive deeper into this work, where can they find you and learn more about what you do?
You can go to my website at carriekcwest.com. It's CarrieKCWEST.com. And you can email me. I don't have any problems. Email me at carriekcwest.com. I'd love to hear from you all.
Perfect. That's great. Well, thanks again for joining us, Kerry.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Dave. It's at some point I want to hear more of your story.
I will. I'd have to really find a way to push it out more, actually. And in the States, I'll do well out there, actually, with the motivation speaking and coaching and that. But yeah, I'm going to work on the marketing later this year, actually, on all that. So
Excellent.
yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay,
Good.
and to all our listeners, remember, your story is still being written, and you have the pen. So until next time, take care. And to Carrie, once again, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.